Commander Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of Earth Defense, Station Aegis Prime. A huge metal station floated in space between Earth and Mars. Jake had been watching the stars for 3 hours now, waiting for something to happen. He knew it would come soon. The communication panel started beeping. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez turned around in her seat. Her face looked worried. "Commander, we're getting a message from deep space. It's coming from the Galactic Council." Jake stood up and walked over to Amy's station. The Galactic Council was made up of 7 different alien races. They had been watching humans for the last 50 years. Most of the time, they left humans alone. But lately, things had been changing. "Put it on the main screen," Jake said. The big screen at the front of the bridge turned on. A tall, blue-skinned alien appeared. Jake recognized him right away. It was Admiral Vorthik from the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrians were the strongest military force in the galaxy. At least, that's what they thought. Vorthik's voice was deep and scary. "Attention, primitive humans. I am Admiral Vorthik of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. The Galactic Council has made a decision about your species." Jake felt his hands make fists. He had been expecting this day for a long time. Amy looked back at him with wide eyes. The other crew members on the bridge stopped what they were doing to listen. "Your species has spread to 12 star systems without permission," Vorthik continued. "You have built colonies and mining stations in space that belongs to the Galactic Council. This cannot continue." The alien's face came closer to the camera. His yellow eyes looked angry. "You have exactly 72 hours to remove all humans from these systems. If you do not obey, we will remove you ourselves. Your primitive weapons and slow ships cannot stop us." Jake wanted to laugh, but he kept his face serious. If only this alien knew the truth about human weapons and ships. But that was the whole point. The aliens were supposed to think humans were weak and stupid. "We have 847 warships ready to attack your colonies," Vorthik said. "Each one of our ships is bigger and stronger than your largest vessel. Our plasma cannons can destroy your metal hulls in seconds. Our quantum shields can stop any weapon you have." The message ended. The screen went black. The bridge was quiet. For a moment, Amy turned to Jake. "Commander, what do we do?" Jake smiled a little. "We follow the plan. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the aliens have taken the bait." While Amy sent the message, Jake thought about the last 50 years. When humans first met the aliens, they had made a smart choice. Instead of showing their real technology, they had pretended to be much weaker than they really were. Every time aliens watched human military exercises, they saw old and slow weapons. Every time aliens looked at human ships, they saw simple designs that looked weak, but it was all fake. The real human military was hidden away, waiting for the right moment. On Earth, Admiral Kevin Blake was sitting in a meeting with President Linda Carter. The president was a strong woman who had been planning for this day since she took office. Defense Secretary Ryan Hughes was also there, along with several other important people. "The message from Vorthik just came in," Blake said. "They're demanding we leave 12 star systems. They think we're too scared to fight back." President Carter nodded. "How long do we have?" 72 hours, Blake answered. "But we don't need that long. Our ships are already in position." The president looked out the window at the city below. Millions of people were living their normal lives, not knowing that the biggest moment in human history was about to happen. "Are you sure our plan will work?" she asked. Blake smiled. "Madam President, the aliens have been watching us for 50 years. In all that time, they've never seen our real military. They think our best weapons are simple missiles and laser guns. They have no idea what we can really do." Back in space, Captain Lisa Grant was on her patrol ship, the Defiant. She was near the edge of human space, close to one of the colonies the aliens wanted humans to leave. Lisa had been a military pilot for 15 years, but she had never been in a real battle. Her radar officer, Lieutenant Mike Stevens, called out, "Captain, I'm seeing 3 alien ships approaching. They're Zephyrian scouts." Lisa looked at the screen. The alien ships were beautiful, with smooth curves and bright blue lights. They moved through space like graceful dancers. But Lisa knew they were also very dangerous. "They're scanning our mining platform," Mike said. "Wait, they're powering up weapons." Lisa watched as the alien ships fired blue beams at the mining platform. The beams hit the platform's shields and made them flicker. But the aliens weren't trying to destroy it. They were just showing off their power. "Captain, they're sending U.S. a message," the communication officer said. "Put it through," Lisa ordered. A Zephyrian voice came through the speakers. "Human vessel, you have witnessed our power. Your shields are weak. Your weapons are primitive. Leave this system now, or we will disable your ship too." Lisa wanted to fire back, but she had her orders. She had to act scared and weak. We understand. We're leaving now." The alien ships watched as the Defiance slowly moved away. Lisa hated acting like a coward, but she knew it was important. The aliens needed to think humans were easy to defeat. As her ship flew back toward Earth, Lisa smiled. In less than 3 days, these same aliens would learn the truth about human military power, and it would be a lesson they would never forget. Colonel Sam Porter walked through the long metal hallway deep under the Colorado mountains. The walls were thick and strong, built to keep secrets safe. He had been walking for 10 minutes, going deeper and deeper into the mountain. Finally, he reached a heavy door marked with warning signs. Sam put his hand on a scanner. The machine beeped, and the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, Dr. Helen Murphy was waiting for him. She was a small woman with gray hair and smart eyes. She had been working on secret projects for the government for 20 years. "Hello, Sam," Helen said. "Are you ready to see what we've been hiding from the aliens?" Sam nodded. "The Zephyrians gave us their ultimatum this morning, 72 hours to leave 12 star systems. It's time to show them what humans can really do." Helen smiled and led him to a large window. Below them was a huge room filled with computers and screens. Hundreds of people were working at their stations, all of them part of a project called Masquerade. "For 50 years, we've been lying to the aliens," Helen said. "Every time they watched our military exercises, we made sure they saw weak weapons and slow ships. Every time they studied our technology, we showed them things that were 30 years out of date." Sam looked at the screens showing alien ships moving through space, and they believed it all. "Why wouldn't they?" Helen asked. "When they first met us, humans had just learned how to travel between stars. To them, we looked like children playing with toys. They never thought we could learn and grow so fast." Helen walked to another window. This one showed a different room where engineers were working on strange machines. "The aliens think our best weapons are simple missiles and laser guns. They have no idea that we've been building plasma cannons and particle beams for decades." Sam stared at the machines. They looked nothing like the weapons the aliens had seen in human military parades. These were smooth and deadly, with power sources that could light up whole cities. "What about our ships?" Sam asked. Helen laughed. "That's the best part. The aliens think our fastest ships can barely reach half the speed of light. They don't know about our antimatter engines. They've never seen our real warships." She pressed a button on her tablet. The screen changed to show a view of space near Titan, one of Saturn's moons. At first, Sam couldn't see anything. Then, slowly, shapes began to appear. They looked like ghosts becoming solid. Stealth technology, Helen explained. We've been hiding our real fleet inside asteroid fields and gas giant atmospheres. The aliens have been looking right at them for years without knowing they were there. Sam counted the ships as they appeared on the screen. There were dozens of them, then hundreds, then thousands. Each one was bigger than anything the aliens had ever seen from humans. How many ships do we have? Sam asked. More than the aliens can imagine, Helen said. We've been building them in secret factories throughout the solar system. Some are hidden in the asteroid belt. Others are built inside hollowed-out moons. The aliens think we have maybe 100 warships. We actually have over 3,000. On Titan, Captain Tony Richards was watching his own screens. He commanded the secret human base hidden under the moon's ice. For 10 years, he had been waiting for this moment. Now, finally, it was time to wake up the sleeping fleet. All ships, this is Titan Base. Tony spoke into his microphone. Operation Masquerade is ending. Repeat, Operation Masquerade is ending. All stealth ships, prepare for combat status. Around the solar system, thousands of human ships began to stir. They had been floating in space like sleeping giants, invisible to alien sensors. Now they were waking up, and soon they would show the galaxy what humans could really do. Back in the mountain, Helen was showing Sam more secrets. The aliens think we're stupid because we use primitive kinetic weapons. They prefer energy weapons like plasma cannons and laser beams. But they don't understand that our kinetic weapons are actually railguns that can punch through any armor. Sam looked at the designs on Helen's screen. The weapons looked simple, but the math behind them was incredible. How fast do these projectiles move? Fast enough to crack a planet, Helen said. The aliens' quantum shields can stop energy weapons, but they can't stop a piece of metal moving at 90% the speed of light. Helen pulled up another file. And speaking of shields, the aliens think our defensive systems are weak. They've seen us use simple energy barriers that flicker and fail. They don't know about our real shields. The screen showed a new type of protection system. Instead of just stopping attacks, it could bend them around a ship or even send them back at the attacker. We learned this technology from the ruins on Mars, Helen explained. The aliens know we found some old buildings there, but they think we just took a few metal tools and art objects. They have no idea we found working computers and weapon designs. Sam remembered the Mars discovery. 20 years ago, human archaeologists had found the remains of an ancient civilization buried under the red planet's surface. The aliens had been told it was just old pottery and wall paintings. The truth was much more exciting. The beings who lived on Mars were more advanced than any current galactic civilization, Helen continued. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of what the aliens have now, and we've been studying it, learning from it, and improving it. Meanwhile, in space, the Zephyrian fleet was moving toward human colonies. Admiral Vorthik was confident that the humans would surrender without a fight. His ships were the pride of the Zephyrian military, each one capable of destroying a human city. But Vorthik had made a mistake. He had believed everything the humans wanted him to believe. He thought human weapons were weak and human ships were slow. He had no idea that every piece of information he had about human military power was carefully crafted lies. On his flagship, Vorthik was talking to his officers. The humans have not responded to our ultimatum, he said. They are probably too frightened to even send a message. When we arrive at their colonies, they will surrender immediately. His tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Kresh, looked at the star charts. Admiral, should we prepare for battle? Vorthik laughed. Battle? Against humans? We could defeat their entire fleet with one ship. No, Kresh, this will not be a battle. This will be a demonstration of why primitives should not play with technology. They don't understand. Back on Earth, President Carter was meeting with her top advisors. General Kate Williams, the head of strategic planning, was explaining the final details of the plan. The aliens will reach our colonies in 18 hours. Kate said, "Our ships are already in position. The moment they attack, we drop the masquerade and show them what we can really do." President Carter looked around the room at her advisors. These people had been planning this moment for decades. Are we sure this is the right choice? Once we reveal our true power, there's no going back. Admiral Blake nodded. Madam President, the aliens have been treating us like children for 50 years. They've demanded we stay in certain areas of space. They've told us what technology we can and cannot use. They've made it clear that they see us as inferior beings. But after tomorrow, General Williams added, they'll know the truth. Humans are not the weakest species in the galaxy. We might just be the strongest. President Carter made her decision. Do it. Send the signal to all our hidden fleets. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are. The human colony of New Haven was a peaceful place. It had farms, schools, and small cities where 50,000 people lived normal lives. The planet had blue skies and green fields, just like Earth. Children played in the parks while their parents worked in offices and factories. But today was different. Today, the Zephyrian fleet was coming. Captain Dan Sullivan stood on the bridge of his ship, the Retribution. To anyone watching, it looked like a normal human cruiser. It was about half the size of a Zephyrian warship, with simple gray armor and basic weapons. The aliens had seen ships like this many times before, and they always thought they were weak. But the Retribution was not what it seemed. "Captain, the alien fleet is dropping out of hyperspace," reported Lieutenant Commander Rachel Green from the command center on New Haven's surface. "I count 47 ships, all Zephyrian design." Dan looked at his tactical display. The alien ships were beautiful, with smooth blue hulls and elegant curves. They moved through space like dancers, confident and graceful. Admiral Vorthic's flagship was the largest, nearly twice the size of any human ship the aliens had ever seen. "They're taking positions around the planet," Rachel continued. "They're not attacking yet. I think they're waiting for us to surrender." Dan smiled. "Well, let's not keep them waiting. Open a channel to the Zephyrian flagship." The main screen flickered to life. Admiral Vorthic appeared, his blue skin gleaming and his yellow eyes full of arrogance. Behind him, Dan could see the alien bridge with its crystal controls and flowing designs. "Human vessel," Vorthic said, his voice deep and commanding. "I am Admiral Vorthic of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. You are in violation of Galactic Council law. Surrender immediately, and we will allow your people to evacuate peacefully." Dan stepped forward. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. "Admiral Vorthic, I am Captain Dan Sullivan of the human ship Retribution. Before we talk about surrender, I have a question." "For you?" Vorthic looked surprised. Humans usually begged for mercy when faced with Zephyrian power. "What question?" "Did you do your homework?" The alien admiral's face showed confusion. "Homework? What is this word?" Dan's smile grew wider. "It means studying and learning before you act. You've been watching humans for 50 years, Vorthic. But you never really learned anything about us, did you?" Vorthic's expression changed to anger. "I have learned that humans are primitive. Your weapons are weak. Your ships are slow. You cannot stand against the might of the Zephyrian Empire." "That's what we wanted you to think," Dan said quietly. Before Vorthic could respond, Dan gave a signal to his crew. "Drop the masquerade." The Retribution began to change. The simple gray armor plating slid away, revealing gleaming metal underneath. The ship's hull expanded as hidden sections unfolded. Weapon ports opened along the sides, showing cannons that the aliens had never seen before. The ship grew from a small cruiser to a massive dreadnought in just 30 seconds. On the alien flagship, Vorthic's officers were shouting in their own language. Their sensors were going crazy, showing energy readings that should have been impossible. "What? What is this?" Vorthic whispered. "This is a human warship," Dan replied. "The real thing. Not the toys we've been showing you for 50 years. The Retribution's weapons powered up. Energy flowed through systems that used technology far beyond anything the Zephyrians had. The ship's shields activated, creating a barrier that made the air around it shimmer like water. Impossible, Vorthic said. Our intelligence reports say humans have primitive technology. Your weapons cannot penetrate our quantum shields. Your intelligence reports are wrong, Dan said. We wrote them. The first shot came from the Retribution's main cannon. It was not the simple laser beam the aliens expected. Instead, it was a concentrated stream of particles moving at incredible speed. The beam struck Vorthic's flagship directly in the center. The Zephyrian quantum shields, which had never failed before, lasted exactly 2 seconds. The beam punched through them like they were made of paper. It tore through the ship's hull, causing explosions all along its length. Return fire. Vorthic screamed. All ships, attack the human vessel. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons sent streams of superheated gas toward the Retribution. Energy beams tried to slice through its armor. Quantum torpedoes exploded around it in brilliant flashes of light, but nothing worked. The human ship's shields absorbed every attack. Weapons that could destroy cities barely made the shields flicker. How is this possible? Vorthic demanded. His tactical officer, Kresh, was staring at his instruments in disbelief. Admiral, their shields are not like ours. They're not just stopping our weapons. They're absorbing the energy and using it to make themselves stronger. Dan watched as the alien attacks made his ship's power levels rise. Thank you for the free energy, he said calmly. Now let me show you what we can do with it. The Retribution fired again. This time, it was not just one beam, but dozens. Each one found a different alien ship. The Zephyrian vessels, which had seemed so powerful just moments before, began to explode one by one. On New Haven's surface, Rachel was coordinating the battle from her command bunker. Captain Sullivan were detecting more alien ships jumping into the system. It looks like Vorthic called for backup. How many? Dan asked. 200 more ships, all different species. I see Keltheron Republic cruisers, Vorthan destroyers, and Nexus battleships. They're all coming to help the Zephyrians. Done. Nodded. Good. The more the better. It's time to show the entire galaxy what humans can really do. High above the planet, space began to change. The area around New Haven, which had seemed empty just moments before, suddenly filled with ships. They appeared out of nowhere, as if they had been invisible. Steve Parker was flying one of the human fighters that had just dropped its stealth field. To the aliens, human fighters had always looked like simple metal boxes with weak engines. But Steve's fighter was nothing like that. It moved through space like a living thing, turning and spinning in ways that should have been impossible. This is Pilot Steve Parker to all human fighters, he said into his radio. The masquerade is over. Show them what our ships can really do. The human fighters began to dance through space, moving in patterns that made the alien pilots dizzy. Just watching them, they could turn completely around while still flying forward. They could stop in the middle of space and then accelerate to incredible speeds in an instant. How are they doing that? Kresh asked, watching the human fighters on his screen. Gravity manipulation, Dan answered from the Retribution. We learned it from the ruins on Mars. We can control gravity the same way you control your plasma cannons. The battle was turning into a disaster for the aliens. Their weapons could not penetrate human shields. Their ships could not match human speed and maneuverability. And more human vessels kept appearing, each one more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. Admiral Vorthic's flagship was dying. Explosions rocked the ship as its systems failed one by one. The bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. "Admiral," Kresh said, "we have to retreat. We cannot win this battle." But Vorthic was not listening. He was staring at the tactical display, watching his fleet being destroyed by humans he had thought were primitives. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. "This is happening," Dan said, "from the retribution. And it's happening because you made the same mistake that every bully makes. You thought being bigger and louder made you stronger. But you were wrong. The retribution fired one final shot. This one was different from the others. Instead of destroying Vorthic's ship, it disabled all of its systems. The great Zephyrian flagship went dark, floating helplessly in space. "Admiral Vorthic," Dan said, "you have one chance to save what's left of your fleet. Surrender now, and we'll let you go home. But if you ever threaten humans again, we'll finish what we started today." Vorthic looked around his ruined bridge. Half of his fleet was gone. The other half was retreating as fast as they could. In less than an hour, the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been humbled by a species they had thought was weak. We surrender," Vorthic said quietly. Dan nodded. "Smart choice. Now go home and tell your people what you learned here today. Tell them that humans are not primitives. Tell them that we've been hiding our true strength for 50 years. And tell them that the next time someone threatens us, we won't be so merciful." As the surviving alien ships limped away from New Haven, Dan looked out at the stars. The masquerade was over. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The news traveled fast across the galaxy. Within hours, every alien civilization knew what had happened at New Haven. The Zephyrian Empire, the strongest military force in known space, had been defeated by humans in less than 1 hour at first. Many aliens did not believe the reports. Humans were supposed to be primitive. Their weapons were weak and their ships were slow. How could they possibly defeat the mighty Zephyrian fleet? But the proof was undeniable. Admiral Vorthic himself had sent the message to the Galactic Council. His voice was shaking as he spoke. "The humans have been hiding their true strength. They are not primitives. They are apex predators. We have made a terrible mistake. On the planet Kelthar, Admiral Vyses of the Keltharan Republic was meeting with her war council. The Keltharians were tall, thin beings with silver skin and large, black eyes. They had been allies of the Zephyrians for 300 years. "This has to be some kind of trick," Admiral Vyses said. "The humans could not have defeated Vorthic's fleet. Our intelligence about their military capabilities is very detailed." Her chief intelligence officer, a nervous Keltharian named Vex, was looking at his reports. "Admiral, we have been monitoring human military exercises for decades. We have recorded their weapons tests and ship specifications. According to our data, they should not have been able to win this battle." "Then explain what happened," Vyses demanded. Vex's large eyes grew even wider. "Admiral, what if the humans have been lying to us? What if everything we think we know about their military is false?" Before Vyses could answer, her communications officer announced an incoming message. "Admiral, we have a transmission from the human fleet. They are requesting permission to enter our star system." Vyses stood up quickly. "How many ships?" "One, Admiral." "A single human vessel." Vyses relaxed slightly. One human ship was not a threat, even if the reports about their new weapons were true. "Let them approach, but keep our defense fleet ready." 20 minutes later, A human ship appeared at the edge of the Caltharian system. It looked like a normal human cruiser, similar to the ones the Caltharians had seen many times before. But after what happened at New Haven, Thyses was not taking any chances. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the human ship Liberator," came a voice from the approaching vessel. "I am requesting permission to demonstrate something to your government." Thyses opened a communication channel. "This is Admiral Thyses of the Caltharian Republic. State your intentions, human." "I'm here to show you the same thing we showed the Zephyrians," Maria replied. "The truth about human military power." Thyses felt a chill run down her spine. "You have one ship, Captain Santos. We have over 200 vessels protecting this system. Are you threatening us?" Maria's voice was calm and friendly. "I'm not threatening anyone, Admiral. I'm just offering a demonstration. Your defense grid is very impressive." "I'm sure it would. Take hours for a normal fleet to break through it." "It would take days," Thyses said proudly. "Our quantum barriers and plasma networks are the strongest in the galaxy." "That's what I thought," Maria said. "Shall we begin?" Before Thyses could ask what she meant, the human ship began to change. Just like the retribution at New Haven, the simple exterior fell away to reveal something much larger and more complex underneath. The ship grew from a small cruiser to a massive battleship in seconds. "That's impossible," Vex whispered. "Our sensors showed it as a light cruiser." "Your sensors showed what we wanted them to show." Maria's voice came through the speakers. "We've been using holographic camouflage for 30 years. Every human ship you've ever seen has been wearing a disguise." The Liberator began to move toward Calthar's defensive perimeter. The automated defense systems immediately activated, sending streams of plasma and energy beams toward the approaching ship. These were the same weapons that had destroyed entire fleets in the past. But just like at New Haven, the human ships' shields absorbed every attack. The energy that should have destroyed it only made it stronger. "Begin Phase 2, Maria announced. The Liberator's weapons powered up. Instead of the simple lasers the Caltharians expected, exotic energy beams lanced out from the ship. They struck the defense satellites and space stations that protected the system. In 12 minutes, the entire Caltharian defense grid was gone. 200 years of construction, representing the most advanced military technology in the Republic, had been swept away by a single human ship. Admiral Thyses stared at her tactical display in shock. Every defensive position was either destroyed or disabled. The space around her home planet, which had been protected by an impenetrable barrier just minutes before, was now completely open. "How?" she whispered. "The same way we did everything else," Maria replied. "We studied your defenses for decades. We learned how your quantum barriers work. We figured out how to get past your plasma networks. And then we built weapons specifically designed to defeat them." On Earth, President Linda Carter was addressing the planet. She stood behind a podium in the White House, with Admiral Blake and General Williams beside her. The speech was being broadcast to every human colony and every alien government. "My fellow humans," she began, "today marks the end of an era. For 50 years, we have allowed other species to believe that we were weak and primitive. We did this not because we were afraid, but because we were smart." She looked directly into the camera. "We knew that if the galaxy understood our true capabilities, they would have united against us. So we chose to hide our strength while we studied their weaknesses." The president activated a holographic display that showed the human fleet emerging. From hiding places throughout the galaxy, ships appeared from asteroid fields, gas giant atmospheres, and empty space where nothing had been visible before. "The human fleet consists of over 3,000 warships," she continued. "Each one is more advanced than anything any other species has ever built. Our weapons can penetrate any defense. Our shields can absorb any attack. Our ships can travel faster and maneuver better than any vessel in the galaxy. She paused to let the information sink in. But we are not conquerors. We do not want to rule over other species. We simply want to be treated as equals, not as inferior beings who need to be managed and controlled. Dr. Helen Murphy was also giving a presentation, but hers was for the Galactic Council's Science Committee. She stood in a large chamber filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. Many of them looked terrified. The technology we have revealed today comes from 3 sources, Helen explained. First, our own research and development, which has been focused on military applications for over a century. Second, reverse engineering of alien technology that we have observed and studied. And third, archaeological discoveries from the ruins on Mars. A Nexus representative, a being that looked like a walking tree, raised one of its branch-like arms. Dr. Murphy, our records show that the Mars ruins contained only primitive artifacts, stone tools and wall paintings. Helen smiled. That's what we told you. In reality, we found a complete technological database from a civilization that was far more advanced than any current galactic species. We've been studying their knowledge for 20 years. The chamber erupted in concerned voices. Representatives from different species began arguing with each other, trying to figure out how they had been so completely fooled. The beings who once lived on Mars had mastered gravity manipulation, antimatter production, and quantum mechanics in ways that we are still learning to understand. Helen continued. They left behind blueprints for weapons and defenses that make current galactic technology look primitive. Meanwhile, Colonel Sam Porter was releasing classified information to intelligence agencies throughout the galaxy. The files showed the true extent of human military preparation. Every human cargo ship is actually a disguised weapons platform, he explained to a gathering of alien intelligence officers. Every human mining operation is actually a weapons factory. Every human research station is actually a military listening post. He activated a holographic map of human space. We have been monitoring your communications, studying your military tactics, and preparing countermeasures for every possible attack. We know the location of every alien military base, the specifications of every alien warship, and the weaknesses of every alien defense system. The aliens in the room looked at each other with growing fear. They had thought they were the ones doing the spying. They had never imagined that humans were watching them just as carefully. The human philosophy is simple, Porter continued. We prepare for war so that we can have peace. We build weapons so that we never have to use them. And we study our potential enemies so that we can defeat them if they force us to fight. Back on Kelthar, Admiral Vyses was trying to understand what had happened to her defense grid. Her chief engineer, a young Keltharian named Zara, was examining the wreckage of the wreckage. Destroyed satellites. Admiral, Zara reported, the human weapons were unlike anything we've ever seen. They didn't just destroy our equipment. They seemed to understand exactly how our technology worked and targeted the most vulnerable points. Vyses looked at the tactical display showing the human ship still floating near her planet. Can we rebuild our defenses? Not against weapons like these, Zara said sadly. The humans have found ways to defeat every defensive system we know how to build. If they wanted tea. The Galactic Council chamber was chaos. Representatives from dozens of alien species were shouting at each other in languages that filled the air with clicks, whistles, and roars. The great hall that had once been a symbol of order and cooperation now looked like a battlefield. Admiral Kevin Blake walked into the chamber with a small group of human delegates. Behind him came Commodore Lisa Grant, who had been promoted after her brave actions during the crisis. Colonel Sam Porter followed, carrying data files that contained information the aliens never thought they would see. The moment the humans entered, the chamber fell silent. Every alien eye turned to look at them. Some showed fear, others anger, and a few showed something that might have been respect. Blake walked to the center of the chamber where a speaking platform waited. The platform was designed for much taller beings than humans, but Blake climbed the steps without hesitation. When he reached the top, his voice carried clearly through the chamber's speakers. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," he began. "I am Admiral Kevin Blake of the Human Defense Force. I come here today not as a conqueror, but as someone who wants to discuss the future." A tall, insect-like being from the Nexus Collective clicked its mandibles together angrily. "Human, your species has deceived us for 50 years. You have made fools of us all." Blake nodded calmly. "Yes, we did. And we had good reasons for doing so." He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as it had been 50 years ago. "When we first met your civilizations, we were indeed primitive compared to you. Our technology was basic, our ships were slow, and our weapons were simple. We knew that if we showed you how quickly we could learn and grow, you would see us as a threat." The display changed to show human space over the last 5 decades. So we made a choice. We would let you think we were weak while we studied your technologies, learned from your mistakes, and built defenses against your weapons. A representative from the Vorthan Empire, a being covered in grayscales, hissed through his translator. "You spied on us. You stole our secrets. We observed you," Blake corrected. "Everything we learned came from watching your public demonstrations, studying your commercial technology, and analyzing the ships you sent to our space. We never hacked your computers or infiltrated your governments. We simply paid attention." Blake pressed another control, and the display showed the true size of the human fleet. Thousands of ships appeared on the hologram, each one larger and more advanced than anything the aliens had expected. "The result of our 50-year project is simple," Blake continued. "Humanity is now the strongest military force in the galaxy. Our ships are faster than yours. Our weapons are more powerful than yours. Our defenses are better than yours." The chamber erupted in angry voices again. Representatives demanded to know how this was possible. Some accused the humans of using illegal technology. Others called for immediate action against the human threat. Blake waited for the noise to die down before speaking again. "But here's what you need to understand. We don't want to conquer anyone. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be treated as equals." President Linda Carter's image appeared on screens throughout the chamber. She was speaking from Earth, addressing the entire Galactic Council. "For 50 years, the president said, your civilizations have treated humanity like children. You've told us where we can and cannot go in space. You've decided what technology we're allowed to use. You've made it clear that you see us as inferior, beings who need to be managed." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "That ends today. From now on, humanity will be treated as an equal partner in galactic affairs, or we will go our own way. The choice is yours." In the Zephyrian home system, the remains of Admiral Vorthic's fleet were limping back to port. The proud Zephyrian Empire, which had ruled over dozens of star systems for centuries, was in chaos. Their military had been humbled by a species they had thought was primitive. Emperor Zethrock, the ruler of the Zephyrian Empire, was meeting with his council in the Imperial Palace. The Emperor was an old Zephyrian with scars from 100 battles. He had never known defeat until today. "How many ships did we lose?" the Emperor asked. "Half the fleet, Your Majesty," replied General Kess. "The humans destroyed 24. Warships and disabled dozens more. Admiral Vorthic's flagship barely escaped." The Emperor's yellow eyes flashed with anger. "And what of our allies? Surely the other species will help us fight these humans?" General Kess looked uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, the Keltharian Republic has already announced that they will not support any military action against humanity. The Nexus Collective is demanding that we negotiate with the humans. Even our closest allies are abandoning us. Emperor. Zethric stood up and walked to a window that looked out over his capital city. For 300 years, the Zephyrians had been the strongest military force in the galaxy. Now, in a single day, that had changed forever. What do our intelligence services say about human capabilities? The Emperor asked. They say we were completely wrong about everything, Kess admitted. The humans have been hiding technology that is decades ahead of ours. Their weapons can penetrate any armor we know how to build. Their ships can outrun anything in our fleet. The Emperor turned back to his council. Then we have no choice. Send a message to the human leadership. Tell them the Zephyrian Empire is willing to discuss new arrangements. Back on Earth, Admiral Blake was meeting with President Carter and her advisors. The response from the galaxy had been mixed, but the message was clear. Humanity was now a major power that could not be ignored. The Zephyrians want to negotiate, Blake reported. So do the Caltharians and most of the smaller species. The Nexus Collective is demanding that we share our advanced technology with everyone. President Carter smiled. And what did you tell them? I told them that we're willing to discuss trade agreements and mutual defense treaties, Blake said. But our military technology stays with us. We've learned too much about galactic politics to give away our advantages. General Kate Williams, who had been monitoring alien communications, added her own report. Madam President, we're seeing significant changes in how other species view us. The fear is there, but so is respect. Several governments are already reaching out through diplomatic channels. What about the species that refuse to accept the new situation? The President asked. Blake's expression grew serious. There are a few. The hegemony of Arcturus is talking about forming a coalition to contain the human threat. Some of the smaller empires think they can band together and challenge us. Then we'll have to convince them otherwise, the President said. But we'll do it the same way we have done everything else. We'll be smart about it. 6 months later, the galaxy had settled into a new normal. The Galactic Council had been restructured to give humanity an equal voice in galactic affairs. Trade agreements were signed between human colonies and alien worlds. The threat of war had been replaced by the promise of cooperation. But the most important change was in how aliens looked at humans. No longer were they seen as primitive beings who had stumbled into space travel by accident. They were recognized as a species that could think strategically, plan for the long term, and execute complex deceptions that lasted for decades. Captain Dan Sullivan, now promoted to Admiral, was commanding the human fleet's patrol operations. His job was to make sure that the new peace was maintained and that no one forgot the lessons of the past year. He was standing on the bridge of his new flagship, the Retribution 2, when his communications officer announced an incoming message. From a Nexus exploration ship. Admiral, the alien captain said, we have discovered some unusual readings in the Centauri Nebula. Our scientists believe there may be artifacts from an unknown civilization. We would like to request human assistance in investigating. Sullivan smiled. A year ago, no alien species would have asked humans for help with anything important. Now, they recognized that human analytical skills and advanced technology made them valuable partners. We'll send a science vessel to assist you, Sullivan replied. Thank you for including us in the discovery. As the communication ended, Sullivan looked out at the stars. The galaxy was a different place now. Humans were no longer pretending to be weak. Aliens were no longer treating them like children. And for the first time in 50 years, there was real peace between the species. The moment when humans unveiled their true military power had changed everything. But more importantly, it had shown the galaxy that the most dangerous species was not necessarily the one with the biggest guns or the fastest ships. Sometimes, the most dangerous species was the one that was smart enough to hide its true strength until the perfect moment to reveal it. Sullivan thought about all the years of careful planning, patient waiting, and strategic deception that had led to this moment. Humanity had played the longest game in galactic history, and they had won. Now came the even bigger challenge, using their power wisely and building a future where all species could thrive together. But if there was one thing humans had proven, it was that they were very good at thinking ahead and planning for the long term. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. And that, Sullivan thought, was exactly how it should be.